KISW.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome B-Tech Smith and Steve. B-Tech Smith and Steve. You are now entering the MegaCast. The MegaCast.
The MegaCast! My name is Steve. I'm here with my great friend, the Ted Smith.
What up, Steve?
What's up, Ted?
You know, chillin', man. I wish people could see our hand motions during the end of the song.
We're like air pumping our fists. We're air guitaring. We're throwing our hands in the air. It's a full-on production out here.
Right, air blow, spitting out water.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, everybody. You can find us on Twitter at the MegaCast. This podcast, if you don't know, which I assume you do because you're listening to it, but it's available on iTunes, on Stitcher. It's also at KISW.com. So
I still think one of the best conversations we've had in a while was, this was off the podcast.
Yes.
Was today will be a little more WWE wrestling heavy.
Yes.
But me and Steve had an honest 15-minute conversation about whether or not we could talk more wrestling and this and that. And then finally it's like, our logo is us as two wrestlers. I guess people wouldn't be shocked if we talked WWE wrestling.
Right. If you don't realize it, that logo that you're looking at on your phone right now, that is Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. At one point, they were bitter rivals, and then they finally became friends. And when they came together as a tag team, they called themselves the Mega Powers. Okay, we got to get the heart racing, the blood pumping, and the brain
functioning.
And this time we've got a tweet at the MegaCast, and Rebecca says, I cannot wait for the Daniel Bryan interview. Let's get 10 to his theme song, fellas. Yes, yes, yes. All right, this is a different song to do push-ups to. All right, here we go. You ready? Let's get 10.
Let's go it, man.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's odd doing push-ups to his entrance music.
It's odd that he even comes out to this song.
Yeah, I guess we should have asked him why.
Oh, yeah. You ready to do this?
Let's get it on.
All right. MegaCast, hello.
Hey, guys, you're on the line with WWE Superstar Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, you're on with Ted and Steve Miggs out in Seattle.
What's going on?
Not much. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We know you're coming to town on Saturday at the Key Arena on Saturday, March 14th, and tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com. Do you enjoy doing that? Because this is a house show. It's a live show. Do you enjoy doing these? Is it a chance for you kind of work out some other stuff? Or
Well, okay, so the live events are my favorite thing. Like, TV is sometimes brutal. Like, the live events is actually, like, the part that's really fun. You go out there and you get to, like, just wrestle however you want to wrestle, right? And especially, like, you have a little bit more liberties and you have a little bit more freedom to go out there and do your thing. And I tend to think as a fan, the show is more fun from a live event perspective than a TV perspective, because, like, there's a lot of downtime when you go to a TV show because of the commercials, because there's all these in-ring interviews that, like, are good for the television viewer, but might not be the best for, like, the live audience, right? So, but these live events, like, you know, they get the interviews, but they get mostly wrestling. It's like 2.5 hours of really good wrestling, really fun entertainment. You know, it's a good time.
I also noticed I've been to a few house shows, and I agree 100% as a fan. It's so much fun to be a part of. I remember like seeing a guy like Cody Rhodes before he like really fleshed out all of his character stuff, and seeing him in the house shows, I'm like, oh man, this guy's got the making to be something huge eventually, because you could see the way he interacted with the crowd, and I would imagine that that's got to be a fun aspect. As a fan, it's fun seeing you guys react, because I know you can't really do that when there's TV cameras. You know, you can't just single out a person in the crowd the same way you could at like a live show.
Well, exactly, because when you're wrestling on TV, you are actually playing to the TV cameras. You're not necessarily playing to a live crowd. Whereas at the live events, we are playing to the live crowd, right? Which is, you know, to me, that's the most fun. You know, that's the part that's really super enjoyable.
And right now, we have no idea what Daniel Bryan is going to be doing at WrestleMania. There's been lots of speculation. I know in the last episode of SmackDown, it seems like signs are pointing towards maybe you jumping in the mix with the ladder match against Wade Barrett. I know Dolph Ziggler has been calling out a chance for you to go head-to-head with him at WrestleMania. There were talks about maybe you versus Sheamus. What does Daniel Bryan want?
It's hard for me to say because my heart was so set on that match against Brock Lesnar. but you know what? It's funny because last year I was in the main event of WrestleMania and won the title, and I think of myself that I am the Seahawks, right? Like I am the Seahawks. Like last year they won the Super Bowl. This year they got to the Super Bowl but didn't quite win it. I didn't quite get to the main event of WrestleMania this year, but I was like, I got to that match where if I would have won, I would have been in the Super Bowl. So I was like, oh, I'm having a similar year to the Seahawks.
So, like, Roman Reigns is the Malcolm Butler of the WWE right now, just ripping it from us.
So it's just, I'm not sure, like, what I would like to do. It's hard for me to say because there's a lot of guys who still don't have matches yet. I would really like the Dolph Ziggler match, the one title I've actually never won in WWE is the Intercontinental Championship. I was the U.S. title, I was the U.S. champion, I was the tag team champion, I was the heavyweight champion, WWE champion, and so that's the one title I've never won. So that would be real fun too. Mostly, what I want is I want to be featured in a prominent role at WrestleMania. Which is like It's getting harder and harder every year because like more and more people come back, and that sort of thing. So that's just what I wanted to be featured in a prominent role.
When you mention like wrestling against Dolph, like you're both kind of fan favorites. Is that odd? Like wrestling another fan favorite?
No, and especially like in a situation like WrestleMania where it's most of the card is going to be people that most people boo against people most people cheer. Right? That's going to be what most of the card is, and to have a match where everybody really likes both guys. To me, that's fun. I did a lot of that when I was wrestling on the independents before I got to WWE, and those are some of my favorite types of matches. I actually, despite losing, I really enjoyed my match with Roman Reigns at Fastlane.
Oh,
because
awesome.
It's not just your standard bad guy versus good guy match. It's it's something more than that. And so I really enjoy that. And I also think it's interesting to see how, for example, somebody like me deals with being booed because I'm not booed very often, right? To see how somebody like Dolph deals with being booed. Like, I think all of that is interesting because that stuff does happen. And and not to mention, I think that Dolph and I are two of the best wrestlers in WWE, and so it would be a fantastic match. I think that would be very rewarding to me.
And we're talking to Daniel Bryan again, WWE Live coming to the Key Arena on March 14th, and tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. You brought up Roman Reigns in your match against him at Fastlane, and I that has to be in the contention. I mean, we're only now we're in March, but I mean, it's got to be up there for one of the matches of the year. It was just a compelling watch as a fan, but you see a lot of like the fan activism, and it seems when fans are not happy about certain things, and they weren't happy about Roman Reigns getting the opportunity to take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and they made it very vocal about it. They were very vocal about it, but I felt like what you did at Raw last week when you went up, it almost felt like you legitimized who Roman Reigns is to some of the fans that think they're a little too smart or too cool for school. And I thought that was like an amazing promo by you, and it was crazy because it's like one of the coolest promos you've done, but it was more about another guy than yourself, and that's got to be a cool position where you could help dictate where the fan activism is going by what you say on the mic.
Yeah, and it's just very interesting. I think one of the things that I've always prided myself in is that not just making myself popular, but also helping the people that I'm wrestling against. Right, like that was, and that was a necessity when I was on the independents, right? Because the top guys would constantly get signed by WWE or TNA or something, so you constantly had to make new stars and all that kind of stuff, within companies like Ring of Honor and everything like that. And I think that's one of the things that we really need to focus on here in WWE is focusing on making new stars. But likewise, I'm not ready to hand over being one of the top guys yet. You know what I mean?
I hope not.
Don't.
You better not be.
When I lost the match against Roman Reigns, my thoughts have been, okay, what do I need to do from now until next January, February, what do I need to do so that I'm in the main event of WrestleMania next year, right? Like, what can I do to get to that spot? Because that's the spot that everybody should be striving to get, you know. And so, what do I need to do within the next year to get there? And so that's kind of what my focus is.
Now, this might be a question that you might not be able to answer, but what do you think you need to do to get to the next WrestleMania?
Okay, so you have to understand that I am not the guy that they want in the main events of WrestleMania, right? I'm just not. I'm just, you know, and like I can openly admit that, and I think they can openly admit that, and like everybody can openly admit that. So then, what does that mean for me? That means that I need to be so good that despite them not wanting to put me there, it's absolutely necessary to put me there because the fans won't accept anybody else. And now think of the large task that is. How do you get to do that? Because I look at what I've done since I've come back from my injury, and I look at things where, like, okay, if I would have done better here, and if I would have done better here, and I would have done better here, maybe the fan response would have been so much that they would have had no other choice but to put me in the main event of WrestleMania, right? And so that is how I react to stuff like that. There's nobody. You can't blame anybody but yourself as far as a lot of this kind of stuff. You know, like I take responsibility for. I've known this whole time that, like, hey, me coming to the WWE and being in the main event of WrestleMania is a long shot, right? But for me to get there, these are the things that I have to do, and you can't make excuses and you can't do any of that. Like, you just simply have to go out there and try to be better than everybody else, and to such a large degree that they won't accept anybody else. So that's my goal within the next year.
Even like this year, like you're not the main event, but you're still at WrestleMania. Is it crazy that you're on a card with Sting?
Yeah, you know, it's like sometimes you just look at things and it's just wacky, you know, because like when the first WCW pay-per-view I ordered was the Great American Bash in 1996, and Sting was still in like the Stinger face paint, right?
Surfer Sting. Still.
so it's like now here I am. You know, hopefully I'll be a featured part of WrestleMania, right? Yeah. But Sting is in this huge match as this, you know, as the Scorpion type thing, you know, and like it's just funny how it all comes around, you know. And wrestling a guy, so the very first WrestleMania I ever ordered was actually Triple H's first WrestleMania when he lost to the Ultimate Warrior, which was WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just funny to be a part of like something that, you know, watching it with guys who I was watching when I was a kid.
And then you got on top of it, I mean, we don't know for sure. What's going on with Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker has to be some of the more just confusing and compelling storylines that I've seen in a while. Because it's like, I think he's going to be there, but you still don't know. I mean, you assume that you're not going to surround a pay-per-view around a guy who's not going to show up, even though he's being called out. But the way it's being done it's just brilliant. It hasn't been done like that before. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. And how disappointed would the fans be if instead of like the real Undertaker, there was a fake Undertaker, and all it is just like when they had the fake Sting in WCW, yeah. And so yeah. I mean, the whole WrestleMania card is pretty exciting this year.
I wonder what was going on in Bray's head during Fastlane as he's coming out in that casket, knowing full well the minute it opens up, it's going to be an storm of hatred.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and like. Sometimes, okay, because I was a bad guy for a while. Yeah. Sometimes the most fun you'll ever have is being booed, you know. Yeah. and just like really, really looking forward to that, you know. So.
I'm a big fan of watching NXT, and I know you've tweeted out about it as well, giving them a lot of love. Some of those younger guys, you know, like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Finn Balor, who I just absolutely love watching. His entrance alone makes it worth the price of admission. But you were a guy who went through the NXT world, but it was a little bit different back when you were doing NXT. It was on television. It had more of a reality TV vibe at times with competitions and things like that. Do you look back and wish that you could have been a part of this version of NXT as opposed to the version that you were a part of?
Okay, so I think this version of NXT is better at getting talent, giving talent exposure to the WWE fans than ours was. But the difference is that we were actually on TV. And like if that NXT show was on TV, it would be making stars out of people, right? Like literally, it would be making stars out of people to where they could go straight from NXT to being a main guy on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, The hard part is that, like, it's on the network, and so the casual fan doesn't get to see, the awesome Finn Balor entrances. You know what I mean? They don't get to see how good Sami Zayn is at all the different stuff. They don't get to see how awesome Hideo Itami's kicks are,
Yeah.
Which is one of, like, to me, okay, the pay-per-views are a prime reason to get the WWE Network if you're a wrestling fan, because you can follow Raw and SmackDown. But another prime reason to get the network is also to watch NXT every week, because to me that's some of the best wrestling television that has come about in a long time.
Dude, I would love to see Hideo versus you in some kind of a match. I mean, it would just be off the chain. It would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I've actually pitched to go down and work one of the NXT specials against somebody like Hideo Itami or a Finn Balor or somebody like that. One, because I think, it's hard sometimes, when you are telling people like, hey, you need to check out this awesome Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens match, or this Adrian Neville, Finn Balor match, into a casual fan who loves wrestling. It's like, hey, this is an awesome match, but I don't necessarily know these guys, But if you were to say like, hey, pick up this awesome Daniel Bryan versus Hideo Itami match on the network, more people would be willing to check it out, if they haven't heard of those guys before. So,
guys, I'm sorry, but we have to wrap up.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem, Joe. Not a problem at all. Okay, well, yeah, we got to let you go. I do want to say one thing. Just let everybody know the idea of having video cameras on the turnbuckles is freaking awesome.
It's awesome, and I just want to say that I think everybody who comes to the Seattle shows knows coming to Seattle is like my favorite thing ever, and I literally can't wait for the show at the Key Arena. It's going to be awesome.
Well, we can't wait to be there. I know Ted and I are going to be there, so we'll be cheering you on for sure. We'll be dropping some yeses for you.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Daniel, thanks for talking to us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Migs.
See you later, Joe.
See ya.
Later, man.
See you, brother. All right, well, we got to get out of here one last time. For those of you at your office, maybe you're at home,
On the train,
on the plane, wherever it is.
in the bus.
That's right. It's time for you to drop down and give us 10. We got to get 10 for the MegaCast.
Let's do it, Steve.
For Daniel Bryan, don't forget, again, WWE Live, Key Arena, March 14th. We'll be there. Will you, brother? Get tickets at Ticketmaster, but until then, get 10 with us right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes!
Yes! Yes!
Yes! Hey, don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at the MegaCast. Subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. For D. Ted Smith, I'm Steve. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, man.